Hello, everyone. Welcome to Beyond Life Paranormal Research Podcast. I'm your host, Russell Reynolds. We got a good show tonight. We got a great guest with us tonight. He is the founder of Texas Wraith Hunters, Anthony Ceballos. Please welcome him on at this time. Here's Anthony.
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, Anthony. Welcome to the show.
I finally made the big time.
Yeah. So, tell my audience a little bit about yourself, how you got involved in the paranormal, and how you got started.
Okay. Well, as everybody knows, I go by the Wraith, which I'm the founder of Texas Wraith Hunters. Um, Also to the founder of Race World Podcast, Oracle of Darkness Podcast will be coming back on, and then to I'm co-founder of Race Worlds from the Dust, Crystals, and Metaphysical, which we have live auctions on Facebook, as many knows. There's Kimmy, Brian, what's going on? There's some customers right there. So that we sell crystals on Facebook, and we also do vendings here in San Antonio. Uh, as far as the paranormal, I've been asked that. How did I get into it? I think I was just born into the paranormal. I, wa- I was, when I was 5 years old, and I've noticed this. I don't know what this is, but a lot of people have died when they were 5. I've heard many paranormal investigators come on and say that, and that happened to me when I was 5. I was leaning back on a chair. I fell back on a chair and I hit the corner of our bed. And it was at my grandma's house. Of course, they got them old style wooden beds with the Mino corners, and it hit the back of my head, um, and that's it. I was gone. And I think my mom had told me that I had passed for about 5 minutes. I don't know. I woke up. I guess I passed at the hospital. And then when I was 8, it took a couple of years, but when I was 8, I was starting to see like shadows. I started to see things that we know now, but of course, back in that day, you really couldn't talk about it. 8 years old, I would see things like ugly things. And but as I got older, since I didn't grow up with my parents, so basically I lived in back in Generation X, where you left the kids alone at 6 years old, not like nowadays.
Yep.
So I didn't have anybody to tell me that it was a figment of my imagination, or it's just things like that. So my abilities just grew, and I just give shout outs to people. Hey, Joanne, Liz, um, Greg. Oh, there's Mr. Silver Fox himself right there. I better behave, because he told me behave with Russell. Okay, and so yeah, so my abilities just were able just to flourish. And by the time I was in junior high school, I mean, it was rough, because trying to understand something that's way out there for you. And today, of course, the kids that have abilities, it's a lot easier for them, because they have people like us now.
Yep.
Back then we didn't have anybody, and if you did say anything, they're gonna lock you up. And which is unfortunate, because can you believe how many asylums are locked up with normal people? Because, well, paranormal people like us, abnormal
Yeah.
people. But so it was really rough growing up in that time, because you're picking up on things, you're picking up on people, and you don't know what to do. You know, And so it was rough, but then like I said, my abilities kept on growing. And then as they grew, of course, you're kind of the person that stays away from everybody, you know, because you just pick up on their energies.
Yep.
So then the ones you do get into are the other ones, which are the kind of the darker ones, I guess. Because so I got into a lot of the ancient magic back then at about 16 years old, and so and then as I grew 17, 18, 19, 20, I was around some really heavy duty people, some really dark practitioners. It seems like I went through the darkness and I learned a lot of things. I learned how to manipulate energy and um, talk to spirit in a different way. And so that just evolved and evolved. So here I am over 40 years later now. I mean, I would go to the cemetery with the Ouija board at 18 years old.
Mm,
See, I broke every paranormal rule book there was about it before there was a paranormal rule book.
right.
And so that was exciting. And people have always asked me, because, you hear the Ouija board, and I've debated on it. I've been on podcasts where they've had me debate about it, which to me is kind of like, in over, I guess, 35 years of using it, I've only had one experience that was negative, and that was the very first one. But at that time, I was 18, living in a day where we did other stuff back then. I mean, so wasn't quite in my right mind at the time. So I think that had a big factor on it. But other than that, I have really had some really awesome experiences with it. So despite what everybody thinks about it, I mean, I don't think so.
Right.
So that's like I said, that's where I got, and then I just ended up. We I investigated a lot back then, but I didn't ever film, and because I was so used to just being around it. To me, it was normal. And then when I got way older, then I decided to start my team. After Ghost Adventures came out, and I started seeing that, it's like, hey, wait a minute, who are these people? I mean, they're doing stuff that, how do they know that, or do they even know what they're getting into?
Right.
So it was cool, but at the same time, I finally reached that, hey, I have so many experiences, so many stories, um, that I wanted to start documenting them. And that's when I got into the team part of it, which was really four of us, and it was my family, my co-founder Ace, is my co-founder, and then my our cousins got in it, and then that's where Wraith Hunters came out.
Oh, awesome. Now, when you were a kid in school and them abilities started kicking in, was it hard to tell your friends that without without them thinking you were crazy or anything like that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it started when I was 8. Five is when I passed, but then eight is when I really started to see things. So I was in elementary. So by the time I got to junior high school, I was like, I could say I was really well advanced already. I was advanced at a very early age, and there's still some things that I just barely starting to talk about. Because I think it still freaks paranormal people out, and I don't understand that. You know, but except for Ken Allen, I don't know if you ever knew Ken Allen.
The name sounds familiar. I've
So yeah, back then, like I said, that you really couldn't say nothing. So you're just sitting there picking up on these kids, and you know when somebody doesn't like you, kids can be really mean.
mhm,
And then of course you because I was really really shy. It's kind of hard to believe, but yeah, I was really shy at that time because I shied away from people. So now I know it's because of empath abilities. You're picking up on their stuff,
right.
and so that's what I mean. That was really hard at the time. Yeah, I didn't tell nobody.
Yeah, I know that feeling too because I too have abilities. When I was 12, I passed away due to a seizure and was brought back, and eventually I started finding my abilities, and it's hard to be in crowds of people and picking up on everybody's emotions and
Yeah,
feelings.
and
My
and it's
dad
And
My
it
dad
still
got
is. He died too.
Yeah, he died in a car accident back in the
Mm.
70s and was brought back, and he has the abilities. He can see them, feel them. So,
So you believe that that opens up a part of our mind or something?
I think so because we're kinda seeing the other side when we're passed away for a few minutes, we're having our out of body experience.
Right. Or do you think that we just stay in there? Because if you ever notice little kids, from 5 to 6 years old, even younger, they're always talking to somebody or they'll be pointing at somebody. You can leave them alone in the room and they're just going, yakking away with somebody. So I think that we can see that until the world system comes in and starts changing that and starts telling us, well, that's not real. That's just this. That's just that. And it starts to shut that down. Maybe those impacts that we get leaves that part open.
Mhm. It could. I mean, like, my abilities, I like to use them to help people, like, when we do our residentials and stuff, and I used my abilities at a one farmhouse that we did, and we were setting up DVR cameras outside the house. You couldn't get in there because it was falling down. Well, I stopped and happened to look up in the window, and the owner comes over to me, and he goes, "You see something up there?" I said, "Yeah, there's a woman standing up there looking at us." Takes a picture with his phone, and there she appears in his picture.
Yeah,
And that's like my dad's abilities. We let him do our client interviews because with him, he can read people pretty good. So they're
yeah,
trying to hide something from us. He'll get it out. He flat out tells him, he's like, "You're gonna hide something from me. I suggest you don't because I will pick up on it."
yeah. Oh, we got Nancy in here too.
Hey, Nancy, welcome in.
Nancy, and I can't tell who that is on my face on my YouTube side. I don't know if that's my stalker. I can't
Well,
see.
they did say in the beginning part of it, "Hello, stalker."
Okay, I know who that is.
So you said you do mainly outside stuff?
Well, yeah, like I said, since I was 18, I would go to the cemeteries, and play around with the Ouija board. Um, and then uh, when I started the team, we started coming down here to San Antonio, and we ended up going to a place called the Forest, which everybody knows about that in the audience. And that's been a 3 year journey on that, and I'm still doing it. And that's where I talk about portals, I talk about elementals, I talk about fairies. I mean, this place literally changed our life.
Mhm.
And but even before that, we would do. Um, we were always outside, so we did. And I don't know, for whatever reason, from the get go, we would find these places that were either used in rituals or done sacrifices,
Right.
and we would find stuff like that. So it's kind of like that's what we did, and we did that for years. And then, um, and like I said, I did do one residential. Um, it was me and another team, one of my mentors of the Ouija board, and because I found one later on, and but I just did at the time. Like just we were doing more of the outside thing. So I think we went into a lot more of the um, elementals out in the forces or outside in places, And so, like I was telling you behind stage, that now we're gonna start doing all the, like, I want to do the hospitals here, the hotels, um, the all the indoor places, and there's a ton of places here.
Oh, yeah, I know you guys got the Yorktown Memorial Hospital down there.
That's on my list right now as I'm speaking. That's the first one I'm gonna go get, because I've only been here, I think, 5.5 months now, and we've been going out. I've been going out a lot, and like I said, now that I left my normal job and I became full time paranormal, full time business, so now I have all the time to do this. So like
Right.
today's Friday, but I was out Tuesday night, Wednesday night, because everything's 30 minutes from me. So yeah, I'm fixing to blow up over here, man. I'm going. These guys either I'll go. I've been out there by myself. I mean, my life. You can see these lives, crazy lives that I've done. You know, putting myself in all kinds of crazy.
I've done some solo stuff too, so I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
There's
So go
there's
ahead.
times that it's my dad and I that'll go out to a lot of these residential, and he'll watch the cameras while I'm investigating solo.
Yeah. See, and that's cool, then that you can do that with your dad. Like I said, my co-founder is my son, and he was the first. He was one of them. He was the original ones that we went into that forest. Even though I ended up losing the other two because of that forest. Now I didn't lose them in the forest because I've said that before, and then I get messages. Did you lose members in that forest? No, that forest will get in your head, and they happen to get in their head big time. They went again, and then after that, they were pretty done. That's it. And then so of course I had to get new team members and everything. But that's cool that like me and my son, we do that, and we vibe so good together that our energy, I think, attracts the spirits also at the same time.
Yeah, and we also work with another team, Raven's Eye Paranormal. Julie Couch and her husband Chris. We teamed up with them. We met them at a Paracon last October, and we teamed up and started working cases together. And we actually dealt with a draconian starseed, which is like an reptilian creature elemental.
Yeah,
First one I ever dealt with, and Julie's a medium, so she does channeling, and she channeled into this thing, and it was crazy the responses we were getting when she channeled into it. She was sniffing the air, scratching the floor,
right.
and then it cussed at me. First time I've ever dealt with one of these, and it started cussing at me because the homeowners kind of made it sound like there was something demonic in there, and it wasn't. And so I started kind of going with the religious stuff a little bit to see if that's what it actually was, and it said, "You're a funny little prick, aren't you?" And then it was they're brought in to do harm or good. The stepdaughter actually had brought it in to harm her stepmom, but it did step aside to let us cross over another spirit that was trapped there.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Greg says, seldom is demonic. 100% right. But what are some of the other crazy cases you've done?
I think I told Greg he's gonna ask me a question I can't do in 30 minutes now. um on a crazy, I don't know, man. I mean, we did, like I said, basically we've done all our stuff here in Texas. And just for me, I mean, we have enough here that I don't even have to go anywhere. I mean, I have to travel out of state, and which I still do, but I mean, I got so much here right now that there's so many places here. We did do one here called Devil's Den, which we followed a guy that he just he said he just did a ritual, and I said, "Cool, can we see?" And he was wearing a robe. I mean, this is what we saw. It was just me and another member of mine. It's out there in this park. It's known for sacrifice because it was they did do that where a boy was murdered, and it's all documented. And they did a sacrifice of a girl, and constantly people go in there doing rituals.
Mhm.
And here's this guy walking out as we're walking in. He's got a big robe, black robe with red, which I end up getting myself, and it's actually back there. And you can see it right over my doll. It's red,
Okay.
and when I was live, so I got some good content, and he ended up taking us down way further than anybody's gone. And this guy here, you could see him shift change, and I have it on video where you can see him actually get down on all fours and just kind of his body just it didn't contort, it just transformed, and he took off on all four. He did that twice, and the way he was moving. So that one right there. So I make jokes while we're in there. Yeah, let's follow the satanic guy into the forest. They said that would be fun. He was trying to get us lost, and actually there was other people that he was actually leading us to. And at the beginning, he says, "Oh, well, I'm going to do a blood sacrifice." Well, we didn't know that we were probably going to be it.
Right.
So we ended up, turning around and because we could hear the other ones coming through the forest. So we didn't run because, like I always say, number one rule with Wraith Hunters, we don't run. We just walk really fast. And we were able to get out. I mean, Brian and all them, they seen that was one wild one. That was one of those times that's kind of like, I mean, because I do go armed into some of these places. I mean, you have to.
Yep.
Um, and that was one of the times that I wasn't armed. So it's kind of like, oh crap, yes, okay, great. He's got a machete. All I got is a tripod. He's got one shot to swing. Just don't hit me, and then I only can throw this thing one time, and we're done. So I mean that one. I mean, of course, the forest. It's had back in the past. Well, I went there recently about 2 weeks ago, and I went into another area because I went on my mountain bike this time, and I got pushed down. Actually, Kimmy and Donna, I don't know if Donna's in here, but I had them on FaceTime, and that spirit pushed me down pretty hard. I mean, I was bleeding all over the place, and so I ended up going back again. That time it followed me out because I pick up attachments like crazy, and either I'll grab one if it comes with me and I can catch it, that I'll throw it in the doll and
Mm.
just keep it in the doll until I need it. And um, but these last two times it was really intense because I came out again with another attachment, and I didn't know what was going on. I was sick. I was throwing up. I was I because I have another member that I use also to cleanse me when she gets tired of doing that. Sometimes, she gets mad at me. But what's up, Joe? What's up, PDX? Um, Joe's an awesome guy, man. He's from he's down here in Houston. We're gonna have to. He's a Bigfoot guy, and I think that that's something that's in this forest. This is one of the things. So, but yeah, those attachments, man. Um, that one made me sick pretty bad. I've only been possessed one time, and that was a while back, and that was also at a place where um, there was a satanic ritual, or it wasn't I don't want to call it satanic ritual. It was a ritual that they did sacrifices to their god for protection on what they were doing. We just
Mm.
happened to stumble upon those altars. It was underneath a bridge, and that one got me. That one got me. It took me like 3 months to shake that one off. That one almost did me in. That one almost did me and my son in because it was pissed.
Oh, I can imagine, especially when you keep going back. A lot of times you wear out your welcome on a location when you do that.
Yeah,
I had that happen at a location here called Hans Mill. I kept going back. The third time, it was not happy that I was back there, and it decided it was going to show itself around the tree, and the person I was with got freaked out, and it followed us clear to the road to make sure we were leaving.
yeah,
And I had the EMF detector holding out the window of the car, and it stayed red all the way till we got to the gravel road up top, and then it went back to green.
yeah. That was like I said. That was like that. It was just sometimes you go back and like now I know that there's certain places in that spot in that forest they don't like me, and I don't know what it is about the bike because when I've been there on the mountain bike twice, and it's
Mm,
almost kind of like the mountain bike provokes them for some reason. It's kind of like how bears or animals like that, if you run, they'll chase you, and it's actually what they want you to do. They want you to run, and they'll chase you and jump on your back. Um, and I've noticed that these last two times that I was on that bike, I could feel it like something is just getting mad and running towards me. Like the bike makes them come after me.
mm.
It's weird. I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet, but I'll be back again and maybe I'll figure it out then.
Yeah, you may get an answer to it. You never know. I mean, it's
Yeah, man. The first time I fell, man, I tore my Zach Bagans pants, man. I was upset. I mean, I call them Zach banging pants because they got all the pockets.
Yep.
And yeah, I tore my pants, man. I skidded on my elbow. I broke my light off my gimbal. I mean, it was terrible. And then the second time I went, I got thrown again, and this time I didn't have my phone. I had my iPad, and I was deep in there. I was by myself, and again, I wasn't armed that time because it was just too much to carry on that bike. And this thing came out, and I jumped off my bike, and I fell back on my backpack and broke my iPad. So
Oh wow.
now I'm there with no satellite, no GPS, no nothing in this pitch dark forest, and I got to go back in there to try to figure out how to get out of there when this thing just came out. So it's like, yeah, this is fun. It is actually.
We got one similar here in Missouri, the Mark Twain National Forest.
Yeah.
And they say is a satanic cemetery in the center of that forest. And I've talked to several Bigfoot researcher Carter Burchard about that place because he goes down there Bigfoot researching, and I guess there was a big cross that got to weigh a good 1,000 pounds or more was laying on the ground. He went back the next time and it was standing straight up. Now you can't get in there, get a crane in there to lift any of that because it's so dense forest. And he said he watched a Bigfoot transform from an upright position to an orb and just disappear.
Yeah. And it's like Joe said, predatory instinct. That's what I was trying to say.
Yep.
That's what it feels. That's what it felt like. And it's crazy because we have our abilities, so sometimes we can see. We see in our mind, we see whatever's happening or what's happened, and that's what I saw. And I was cutting through a trail. That was on the grass, and I was just going real slow, and this the same growl, and it's not an animal. I already know, like I said it then. I've heard pigs, I've heard deer, I've heard all this stuff. You know when it's not an animal. This is something else, and it's not. It's not. It don't surprise me because we have heard that already. And but when I heard it in my mind, I could see it coming sideways, just booking it and just fixing to nail me. And that's why I jumped off the bike, and that's exactly what it's like. The bike does something. I don't know what it is that it just. Why would it do that to something like that? And then Kimmy, what she's saying right there, that was the first time they actually heard, because this is what there's a shaman in there, but there's another entity, and it was telling me to get out, but it was I had them on FaceTime, but I had my Bluetooth uh, on my headphones, and but they could hear it through the phone,
Oh wow.
and it was so loud that my other member, her husband, was in another room, and he was saying, "What the hell is that?" Talking. I couldn't hear it because I had them in my ear, but they could hear it talking audibly so loud, just like I guess like we are right now, that it went through the phone that they heard it like that. I wish I would have heard it, but I had my headphones on.
Right.
But I was in there anyway, so
Yeah, it's risky when you do that. I know we've got a cemetery we got called in up here to check out, and there's a supposedly shapeshifter
right.
in there, and my dad had walked out into the cemetery by himself. There was a red-tailed hawk that landed up in the tree, so he walked towards it, and that red-tailed hawk just disappeared. Most of them usually fly away. This thing just vanished, and he got pinned up against a tree by something, and he kept having this bruise on his wrist appear like 2 weeks straight. It would go away, come back,
Yeah.
and that same red-tailed hawk, a member of mine said, "Hey, I need you to come over by the woods and listen. Here's this red-tailed hawk sitting in the tree in the woods looking at us." And then that night, you could hear footsteps coming through the woods at us, and then we heard one in the upper corner, so we walked up there, and a buddy of mine was with us, and he's like, "Stop." I'm like, "What?" Looked down, and I was about 5 inches away from getting impaled by a fence post to the gut.
Wow, that
And then
happens.
this owl just let out a hoot right next to us, like, "Ha ha, for you."
Well, they can lead you, like I said, like especially in there, you'll see these, like what so we call them fairies, but that's the spirits. They will lead you, and you will follow them, and if you follow them the wrong way, you will fall in that river. You know.
Yep.
But when I went this last time, I took my new toy with me.
Oh, neat.
That is an Aztec death whistle.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually made out of clay from Mexico, and I blew it. I blew it. I was out there by myself. See, doing that right there, and that was pretty cool. That was pretty cool. It did stir up some stuff, and
Oh, I can imagine.
and that's it. I'm out there in these woods, deep in there alone. I think that's what an investigator does, right? That was cool. I'm going to get some more like that because they're different ones, and they sound different. But yeah, that is a very interesting toy.
I've got one, guy I know 3D prints them, and they sound just like the real Aztec death whistle.
Yeah.
And we tested it down at Hans Mill, and it picked up activity because it sounded like a woman getting murdered, and that's a Mormon massacre site.
Mm.
So we did that down there, and it just kicked up a whole bunch of activity.
Yeah, it was funny. I was doing it outside in the front yard yesterday. And freaking dogs going crazy.
Surprised your neighbors didn't.
I don't know, man. They probably hate me now. What this guy doing out there, man? Because this one here, you can cover. You can. Like I said it's a real one. It's the clay one. So, but
Mm,
you can cover the mouth, and if you make you you make the sound of an animal, but you're still blowing it.
mhm.
It'll and you. It's like you learn how to use it, and so it does sound like that animal right here. I think this is a jaguar. That's what it looks like. I don't know. But this one here, I got it here in San Antonio. I just got it the a couple of days ago. The daughter that sold it to me, it belonged to her dad. It passed away, and he
Uh-huh.
he collected these. So I don't know if he's too happy that I got it, but I got it.
Yeah, those things are pretty neat. We were gonna actually play a trick on a group of guys. We were supposed to do an event investigation at Glore Psychiatric, and guys from the tattoo shop, they played a joke on my buddy Jimmy because their shop is haunted, and he would go back there and do a little EVP session. Well, they took a life-size statue of Will Smith and put it in the back hallway. And
Mm.
when he flipped his flashlight on, there's Will Smith right in his face. And he freaked out, and they filmed it. So we were gonna get him at Glore, and I was gonna lure him. They got a tunnel that used to go between the buildings, and we were gonna lure him down there in the dark. And I was gonna blow that Aztec death
Ooh, okay.
down
That's
through there.
nice. No, that was my daughter. She just handed me my new. She just made it for me.
But yeah, we were gonna scare him with that, so they would have never messed with him again.
Yeah. Yeah, that whistle, man, it'll scare some people, especially like I said, out in that place because kids go out there at night and we've
Mm.
been out there and I can't wait to blow that when they're all out there now. See what happens then.
Oh, they'll scatter. We scared a bunch of them in a cemetery one night. That cemetery where that shapeshifter was. There's a bench out in the middle, and we were doing an EVP session out there, and this car pulled in with it must have been a boyfriend and girlfriend. I think they were just looking for a place to make out. So I said to buddy, I said, "You want to have some fun?" He says, "Yeah." I said, "A count of three. Let's both of us just get up off the bench, start walking towards them." Well, we both get up at the same time, and we're walking about the same time. We're in dark clothes. They thought there was a black shadow figure coming at them. I never seen a bunch of kids slam a car in reverse so quick and speed that. But
So what are the hard questions you were gonna ask me?
uh, what is your biggest go-to for equipment that you use quite a bit?
Oh, it's an easy one. I mean, I the one that I use the most, like I said, is necrophonics. I like I said, I told you about the phone, and I'll tell the audience. I have an 8-year-old phone that has no service, no Wi-Fi. It's on airplane mode, which really doesn't need it because I don't have no service. But the only thing that I have on it is the necrophonics, and then and I use a auxiliary cord. There it is, because I don't want anything coming over the air, Bluetooth or nothing. So it's going to my X1 speaker. So it's as dead as it can be, and that's my phone right there that I use. And that's crazy because when my tablet broke, that phone broke, and I have an OtterBox on that phone. Which even the guy, when I took it to see if they can fix it, he goes, "How did you break this, man? Because this is an OtterBox." Um, I mean, this is, and I said, "I don't know." I said, "But I think the spirit." I didn't want to tell him that. Well, what I do with it, and but that's the one. And actually, it's getting fixed, and I'll have it back tomorrow. So, and because that phone has so many attachments to it, it's been all over the place. It's been I've had it for a very long time, using it like that, and I know that, like I said, when I turn it on, and many people here have heard it, you'll hear them call me Wraith, and like I said, that name is not in that dictionary,
No.
and especially for it, when you put it with words when I'm talking to it and they call my name like that. I mean, Greg, they call Greg Koss through it, just like that when I was in New Orleans. I mean, you could hear it plainly. Um, so that's a special phone for me, and I think that's another reason why, because my energy, me having that attachment with it, and then it being in so many places already, that that's the one that I use. That's really my go-to one. That and my mail meter that I cried for years to get, and I got it, and I hardly ever use it.
Did you get the millimeter with the REM pod in it?
Yeah,
Shadow
yeah,
detection?
yeah. It's got the REM pod, little antenna. You get close to it, and it goes off, shows you the temperatures, everything. I said I cried for that thing for years, and I finally got it, and I take it with me in my backpack, and I rarely pull it out. But I like it though; it's fun.
Or like you out doing the outside ones, those are actually pretty reliable. Like I've used mine down at Hans Mill, which is just an open field, and I've gotten good results with the REM pod, the millimeter spiking.
Yeah,
I did find though, however, with those, an iPhone will activate and spike that millimeter up. It'll respond to an iPhone, but like an Android, it won't respond to it.
right. But
And
being outside, you don't have anything around you. It's nothing
yep,
but air. So
I,
as long as if you stay away from it, and that thing starts to spike, something's going on, because you'll see everything else. You see the Malagos numbers go up, everything. So, of course, it's got a heat light and a cold light, so it's a pretty cool little instrument. It's got so many things at the same time going on, and being out. That's one of the reasons why I like to be outdoors, because when you're out there by yourself like that, or you and just your team, um, it's just y'all out there.
yep,
And there's no electricity, there's no power lines, there's nothing to interfere with anything. So the results that you get from them are going to be pretty good.
yep. And like I said, I've had great results with mine, even outside and Waverly Hills. I've had great results with mine at Waverly down on the first floor lobby, just sitting on the table. There's really no electricity around in that lobby to actually affect it. And then when you got other meters coinciding with it, going off around the whole table,
Yeah.
was pretty interesting.
So you use cat balls too?
We've got some. I don't use them very much, but
I think I got like three left, and I don't even know where they're at.
yeah, I bought a couple when I was at Missouri State because they seem to use them pretty good at Missouri State and respond to them. But my main go-to is just my recorder, my millimeter, and then Katie Stafford's ink box.
Yeah.
Is
Yeah. I like more the ones that you can hear, that you can hear them use it and manipulate the sound in it, and than just having lights. I mean, the cat balls, I've had them, I've used them a couple of times, said I lost. You know, you're gonna lose them, so I lost a bunch of them. But then it's kind of hard to get an answer compared to a necrophonics or a portal or anything like that, because you can say, well, hey, you know, is someone here? Are y'all together? Whatever, and it lights up. Oh yeah, there was, but they may not be saying that. They may be
Exactly.
saying no. You can't really definitely verify if it's saying yes or no or something else, because through the necrophonics they'll cuss you out.
Oh yeah, I've been cut my
You see
necrophonic.
what I mean? So you when you hear that, like, okay, there we go. Now this is good. So I think that's why I've always, you know, I just put them up and left them alone. I don't use them to verify anything.
Yeah, I mean, because with the cat balls, if you get a little vibration, just enough to move that ball, maybe just a hair, it's gonna light up. And we've used them on stairs. You put them on each one of the steps, and then stay back from it. We That was the only definitive piece of evidence we got. Nobody was coming down the stairs, and they were lighting up one by one as the entity was coming down the stairs. But that was
Yeah,
about it. I mean, I don't trust them laying on a counter or anything like that, or laying on the floor, because you got people walking around, vibration, especially in an old building that aren't built very well. You're gonna have that, or the building's not level, or they're gonna roll a little bit.
yeah,
And then we use a tripwire quite a bit too. Those are pretty handy. We'll string those. If you got a ghost that's walking between rooms, you string it across between the two doorways, and each time it goes, it'll light up the lights.
yeah. I've seen those. Yeah, like I was sort of talking about it backstage. I'm looking to get some more equipment, and so I guess now I'm gonna go ahead and start getting those. I've never used them. I've seen them. I've seen other investigators that I've been with use them. Um, I don't. Outside is different than inside. You
Mhm.
know, so it's like the SLS camera we're talking about. Outside is a little harder because it's going to pick up the trees, and every branch looks like a like a person.
Yeah, your cheaper ones, we had a investigator with us that had one of the cheaper ones, and we took it outside, and it was picking up the trees, made it look like there was a ghost climbing the tree.
Yeah,
And like mine don't do that. Mine'll You can put it there, and it won't map nothing out unless you're standing in front of it. 'Cause I got a video in a house where nobody was in front of the SLS, and all of a sudden it just started mapping out a figure walking across, and it actually is standing there, and it looks like it's dancing because it's going like this.
yeah, yeah. I had my doubts with that too until we did the same thing. One of my friends had it on his phone, so it wasn't like a real SLS.
Mhm.
But we were in San Antonio here, and we were at the Menger Hotel, which there's a mirror on the second floor. And at that time, I had taken a picture of my daughter. She was sitting down underneath it. And then when went back and I was just zoomed in on the mirror, you could see a little girl in there.
Mhm.
And then when I was talking to the people and there, the people that work there, it's like, hey, so what do y'all see? He goes, well, if you go upstairs to that mirror, there's a little girl in the mirror. It's like, that's crazy because I just caught that, you know, and I didn't say anything. And then um, the next time we went, one of my members was walking, which I already knew that picture was there. I've heard their stories that there's an attachment to that mirror.
Right.
And then as he was walking, he had it in his phone, and you could see the little stick figure bouncing around inside that mirror, and that's the only place that it was at.
Right.
So I don't know if that validated the regular one in the phone, you know, compared to the real one,
Right.
but it was right on.
Yeah, I try not to use that ghost tube.
Yeah, that's what he had. That's what he had.
I've had issues with it where it maps out your objects instead of an actual ghost itself. I've seen it map out tables, chairs, and stuff like that. I don't trust it too much. I use my bigger one compared to that one.
Yeah,
But I think there is a sensitivity setting on those that you can set. But I like mine. Mine does 3D images, so you can do like 3D images on it.
Yeah.
or your standard 2D, or it'll do that multicolor one like you see on Ghost Adventures, stuff like that.
Mhm.
I keep mine kind of like in night vision. Mine's got the night vision setting. So you can actually see what the camera is looking at in the atmosphere when you got your figure in it. So if it's in a room and it's in the night vision, you can actually see everything, the walls and everything, compared to like 2D or 3D.
Right. Yeah, I'll find out because I'm fixing to get it. We're gonna go out there and play with it.
Yeah,
Probably break it the first night we go out.
mine got broke. You got to watch with those bigger ones. I had mine at a location. We had it sitting on the floor shooting down the hallway. Well, the homeowner come by and kicked it,
Wow.
knocked it over, and I had to repair the tablet on it. Had to go through, delete everything, and then just reinstall everything. And when you get them, they don't want you to connect them to the internet, but I had no choice. I had to redo the tablet, so I had no choice to connect it to the
Right.
internet. And once I got the program back in, I went through and just deleted the internet connection. But yeah, it's you got to watch those. They're very touchy also.
Mm.
They can be very flimsy, like your battery packs behind your camera, and that's only held by a piece of Velcro. And the battery packs do go dead pretty quick, so you have to keep spares with you.
He's starting to deter me from that. I think I'll keep my freebie $10 necrophonics.
The the camera itself is what drains that battery pretty quick.
Yeah.
I mean, it'll run a good 4 hours before it's but I'll warn you, if you're running other night vision cameras, like DVR systems, it will pick up that infrared beam coming off of that camera when the battery's dying. It'll sit there and blink, and you'll see a flash on your cameras.
Mhm.
We've had that several times and wondering why something's flashing in a room, house, and we go there and it's the SLS dying. Battery pack's only at 2 bars, so and
Yeah.
as soon as we shut it off, then it stops. So we debunked that.
Right.
But that's like the SB7. I don't use that at all. I've got one. It stays right in my case.
Right.
I've used it maybe a couple of times, but I do not like the SB7. You get too
SB7. Oh yeah, I got that over there. It's laying there. It's been there collecting dust. Yeah. All right, Liz. Thanks for coming on, Liz. She's in Scotland, so right now it's daytime over there.
Oh yeah. Thanks for coming in, Liz.
Yeah, the SB7. I've tried it, man. I have tried it over and over, but I just can't get past that white noise. I
Yeah,
can't
that
do it.
one's a little harder to deal with, and you get more radio on that. I when every time I used mine, I ran mine in AM because you get too much radio with the United States. You get too much radio stations coming through, and so that's why we use KD stuff because he's got that shortwave, so it's just standard white noise, and his sweeps two different short waves. You got your fast shortwave or your slow.
Right. Yeah, I got kind of. I mean, some of the equipment back there that I just don't use. I don't use the EMF meter either. That little one, the one that just turn on with the little lights on it.
Mhm.
I've had that too because it seems like that's what you need. Everybody has it, so you want it. Yeah,
Right.
it's $20, $30. It just over there with the SB7 box. It just isn't that same. I just can't. I don't know. I don't not. I don't. I got some friends that can. I mean, they're good with that SB7, but for me, I can't. I just doesn't. I rather hear them talk, just straight out talk. Like through the
Right.
necrophonics, or something else like that, than deal with that. I can't do it.
Well, that's like the ITC box too is pretty good too. It's another good spirit box app that we use. It's got the word banks, but everything's in reverse in that too. And it's made by Spain Paranormal, and we've had good results on that app as well with communication. And I actually talked to my mom on that, who's passed away,
No.
and I tested her. I asked her only a question she would know, and she was able to answer it. Because I get a little iffy with other spirits coming through. They can make up
Yeah.
stories. And yeah, Greg, Nanocoms, that's one of KD's boxes, the Ink Box S. Julie has a prototype that he made. It's called the Wiseman, where your body's the actual antenna for the spirit box. Grab a hold of two bolts and hang on to it, ask your question, and then you let off for the spirit to answer. And we used it on an event we just did, and we got some pretty good evidence from that.
Here lately, for me, I just been like I said, I've got the big cameras. I got the from the smallest to the big professional ones. I just use my gimbal. I have a gimbal where I put my phone at.
Okay.
The gimbal and a red light, and that's it.
Yeah,
And my necrophonics.
I use a little handheld that's full spectrum. Got the little long full spectrum flashlight on the bottom of it.
Yeah.
That's one of the ones I use. I film quite a bit with that. Then I've got your standard night vision handheld. And then
Right.
we've got like 3 DVR systems. I got 2 hard wires and 2 a wireless one,
Yeah.
because the one place we do, I have to use all 3 of them. We do this haunted movie theater that was on Dead Files, and it's so big you have to run 3 camera systems to cover the place.
Right. So the spirits have when you go to those places like that. I mean, well, since the time you've been investigating, you got any scars from the spirits?
Oh, yeah, I do. We did a case, my dad and I did a case in Oklahoma on the Trail of Tears. We got called into somebody's house. He had been doing demonic rituals, so his mom had called us in because she was concerned about her 2 boys. So we went in there and, set up our equipment. He wanted us to leave, but we were like, "No, your mom signed the paperwork. She wants us here." Well, we were s I stopped, take a break, my dad's watching the cameras, and I sat down next to him, and we're watching this camera, and this camera just sitting there going pulsating. I'm like, "Ah, maybe it's just a camera issue, static to the cords or something." And then all of a sudden, we seen this black figure appear in it, and I'm like, "I'm gonna go check that out." So I walk back in the hallway, and this figure is about 6 foot tall, comes running at me, drops down to 5 foot, disappears at my legs, and then 3 scratches on my arm appeared, and now
Yeah.
they're all scarred up.
Yeah, I got a few. I got a few scratches like that. I never believed the scratches, but like I said, that one of my biggest places is the forest that I go to, and but I don't know if it was from there or from another place. But I got scratches on my belly. And I got scratches. The same scratches are on my leg too. So it's the same one. You can like it's signature, and I mean they're in there. I mean they've healed already and everything, but you can still see them really good. I've gotten punched. I've gotten pushed. I almost got pushed down some stairs, carrying my equipment down. Um, I mean, hair pulled. I mean, it's
Yep.
pretty. It's cool though, man. I mean, for me, it's like I don't mind. I mean, okay, I got a scratch, all right, or I got hit. I've gotten punched really good though. That where you, it's because you don't feel it at the time until later. And it's like what's hurting, and then I touched my chest, and it was really tender, and so that was an impact hit,
Mhm.
and so it's like, man, this thing really hit me hard and it actually bruised up, and 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 So yeah, it's pretty cool. I mean, been
That's
doing
like
this.
that's like my dad too at the movie theater. He got pushed down and tried to push him over the balcony, and it was like something ran through him. He took his shirt off, and he had a handprint on his back here, and then finger marks here on his arm. And then when we were at Missouri State Penitentiary Museum, they have a guard mannequin in there. He shook hands with it. Next thing you know, here's a hand mark appeared on his arm, and we were trying to figure out who it was. And we ended up capturing the Kansas City butcher, Robert Berdella, on camera in there. And then me, I got pushed. We were at a place in Kansas City doing a house, and she kept seeing this hoof peeking around the cabinet door in the kitchen, and it was like right near the basement. So I'm standing right at the top of the basement stairs, and we had the door open, but I wasn't close to the stairs, and this thing just come right threw me into the door, and then right on my forearm, I ended up with some scratches there and a bruise where I hit the door. And my one member's like, he just got slammed into that door. And we were live on TikTok, and one of my medium friends were watching. She said, somebody's going to get hit. Sure enough, it was me. And I've had stuff thrown at me, rocks in a cemetery. We were at a cemetery called Slagle's Mill, and the one investigator that was with us was provoking, calling Mr. Slagle an asshole. Next thing you know, here comes a rock flying through the trees at us. I'm like, you
Wow.
shouldn't provoke him. He was a
Yeah.
nasty man when he was alive. There's a reason why he murdered all 5 of his wives. And
Yeah, they
then
can
Missouri State, I had a right inside here, looked like someone took a cigarette, went like that inside my arm.
they can get pretty nasty.
Oh yeah.
Like I said, like this last time here, and that's never happened to me in there to that extent. I mean, I came out of there bleeding with my knees, my elbow took it the worst, But I know that I was pushed because mountain bikes, this especially this one, they got disc brakes, and it's not the normal old style brakes. They're disc brakes, and this thing, even though I had them locked down, it was still going. So when I got home the next day, I went out there to, because my handlebars were all bent and everything. So I went down there to see what if I could react it, and that there's no way, man. These things are locked. Look at that. I mean, they're just
Mhm.
locked. How was it keep going and keep going? But yeah, they just can get nasty. I mean, it's just what we do, man. We look for it, we love it, right? Because we go back again.
Oh yeah, we always go back again. That
Yeah,
curiosity gets the best of us.
it's like now I want to really know what's there. And this is that what I mean. I went back to that same spot and I blew that whistle. I said, I'm here by myself again, you know. So come on out.
That's what I'll do. Like I said, I'll do most things some of my team won't do. I'll go into a table like at Waverly. I went late in the morgue slab for 2 hours. So I've went and sat in basements by myself, in closets.
I've done the same thing, man. I've done some crazy stuff, man.
And I mean, like with residential, I'm there to get answers to find out why it's terrorizing that family.
But that's why we doing it. That's what I don't understand. I mean, I know it can get pretty rough sometimes, but I when I see these people on TV or whatever, okay, that's enough. We gotta go. We gotta go. We gotta go. Okay, but this is what you came here to get. I mean, and you're running at the time that it's happening. Why are you running? I
Right.
mean, Greg's an awesome guy. He's on my team, and he constantly, well, he gets on to me a lot. He goes, Greg, man, you gotta start taking care of yourself. You're pushing it way too far. I said, Greg, this is what I do. For me, this is my passion. I'm out there I'm going to get this evidence. And if it takes me out, it takes me out. But at least I go doing what I love to do. But I'm
Right.
going to get it. I'm going to get it, one way or another. So if if it happens, it happens. You know, but he's always slapping me around.
You have a question for you. What's your method of contact you use for information? If that don't work, what do you do?
Well, I used to be really bad, that, and I learned my lesson with that. I provoked things really bad at one time. And I don't know. I think we all kind of when we get at first until we started getting challenged back, and then it kicks our butt. One in one form or another. I
Right.
usually just go in. It depends where we're at. Um, I do it by. I guess I would do it more like psychically. So when some people say, "Well, I'm already there, I can do it from here." Okay, yes, I understand all that too. But when I get to a location, um, one of the things for me is it's like I don't really like to use equipment. I really don't. But right now that I'm down to just me and my co-founder and my other member, I have to use equipment. And so there's something in my hand, a camera. Usually it's a camera or the necrophonics. But I usually try to lay it down, and I just open up. I open up, and of course, I got a couple of members that they're my people to go to if something bad gets on me, or they need to call me, say, "Hey, I'm watching you on live. There's you need to watch this, watch that, whatever." I got eyes behind me, and but I open up, and it's something that she has to deal with a lot because she's got to clean me afterwards because I open up too much. And for me, it's just how I do it. I open up, I call it, um, and if that doesn't work, usually I got plenty of bait around me, so I'll just throw someone else. I may be laughing, but people know that I kind of do that. But I just open up. I open up and I try to I just it's because for me I'm not really hunting ghosts. I'm not. I don't even call them ghosts. I don't even call them spirits. Really. I mean, I'm just using that terminology here, but to me they're people. They're the same, just like me and you. It's just that they've moved on. They moved on in a way out of their body. And so, but they're still here, and the ones that are still here, either they're lost or they just or they just been here for a long time. uh some people have asked me, so how do you believe, what do you believe that spirits stay stuck here? I said, well, that could be too on their religious belief. If they believe in judgment and in hell and in heaven, then if they know they've been a bad person and they cross over to that light, then they're pretty much going to go to hell.
Yep.
And so, you know what? I'm just going to take my chances and stay here for the rest of my eternity. You know what I mean? I don't want to be burning in the lake of fire. So there could be that's why they stay. So, so for me, it's just, um, so I communicate with them. My whole thing is communication. I want to talk to them. I want to know who they are. If they got something that they want to say or get off, just whatever, is communicate with them. And I don't provoke them anymore. I don't go and provoke it or anything. Something doesn't work, it doesn't work. I basically what I do is go to another location. you
Right.
know. So and at one time, yes, I would start stuff, but then again, if I'm starting to put out that negative vibe, then I'm going to get negative spirits now. Oh, spirit, the other ones now.
Exactly.
They're going to come and they want to play. So but my whole thing is now it's been, and that's something that I even asked Carl Johnson. I don't know if you've heard of him.
Yep.
I had him on my podcast, and I asked him. Well, we're good friends, and we were in New Orleans together too. And I asked him because I know he's had thousands of investigations. I said, "Have you ever had one that changed the way you investigate? From that point on, it just changed you." And he did. And it was for me. It was in that house when we were using the Ouija board. That one right there just changed my whole way of investigating. I didn't see it the way we see it on TV or movies or whatever.
Mhm.
It's your daughter, it's your son, it's your grandmother, it's your family. It's no different, you know. They're, or in a way, like we say, they're human beings. Well, they're still, in a way, they're still connected. So it's more than just getting a knock or getting a scratch or whatever. It's communicating with these people that are there. And when you come at it that way, that's how I believe we got so much communication in New Orleans, because we were there and we could hear them, and they were actually like, wow, somebody's listening to us. So
Yep.
they were just talking up a storm, and we're not there to start anything with them. We come in peace and everything, but it's just it's to communicate. It's just like communicating with somebody that's lost. you know a Christian will do it all the time. You'll see somebody that go up, you start talking to them, and there you go. So it's just, I feel like that's what I do. It's the same thing. That's my objective to do.
That's like residential, same thing. I mean, a lot of people don't realize that new homeowner is trespassing in their space. So that's why they're doing that, because they think they're breaking into their house.
Right.
So that's why they're terrorizing the new homeowner, or if they're remodeling the house or changing something they're used to. And that's why I tell them all the time, you're trespassing in their space.
Right.
So of course they're gonna come and torment you. What are you going to do when someone breaks into your house? You're going to want to hurt them. And I said, if they were an asshole in life, they're going to be an asshole in death too. They're not going to change. They're still going to be the same person as they were when they were alive.
Right.
And like when we go into a house to help a person, that's the same way. We don't provoke. We pretty much already know what's there when we walk in the door, because you can feel if it's darker, or you can feel if it's just regular. Soon as you walk in the door, especially when you're seasoned enough and you've done it a long time, you can usually tell when you walk into somebody's house, oh, they got a regular spirit in here, that probably a former owner or family member. And then with residential, we deal with a lot of psychological issues too, like schizophrenic, drugs, alcohol, stuff like that. And you never know what you're walking into somebody's house. We do a lot of background checks on people.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to start doing that.
Yeah, we background check our clients because a lot of them hide stuff from us, whether they've been in drugs, alcohol, they're on medications, or anything like that that cause hallucinations. And then they think they're seeing something in their home, and we get there, there's nothing there,
Right.
and it's all what they implanted in their minds. Well, we've hit our hour mark. Greg's getting ready to come on, so if people wanna get a hold of you and book you for an investigation, events, or paracons, or how can they get a hold of you?
Yeah, just go to my Facebook, either my name, Anthony Ceballos, or Texas Race Hunters on Facebook, Race World on Facebook, or even just get a hold of one of my members. I know everybody knows Greg. I got Greg, Kimmy, Donna, um, Lurker, Carlos Octagon. So you can get a hold of any of them also. So, and yeah, just let me know, especially if you're in San Antonio.
Yeah, definitely, we're talking about coming down to Texas to do some eventually,
Yeah.
as Yorktown's on our list too.
I can't wait to do that one, man.
I've got a buddy down there, I don't know if you ever heard of Misfit Apparition?
No.
They're actually part of the Cold Spotters family with us. They're down in Texas down there too. Ernest
Mm,
and his buddy, they run that group down there. So we were talking about getting with them and hanging out. So
yeah.
I'll holler at you if we get down
Yeah,
that way.
let me know, man. Let me know. We'll get together and do something. I'll take you
Yeah.
to that forest, see what happens.
All right. Yeah, definitely. I'll bring Julie with us, who's
Yeah,
still
there
of
she
that.
is right there, Lady Mystic, Donna, man. She came in late. It's too late, Donna. We got to go.
Yeah, we're about done because Greg's getting ready to come on.
Yeah.
So I thank you for coming on tonight,
All
and
right. Thank you for having me.
yeah, we'll definitely have to do a part two.
Oh yeah.
And I thank everybody else for joining me tonight, and we will see you all next week. Stay safe out there, stay humble. Don't let the boogeyman get you.
All right.